I was gonna do the joke. I was gonna do the joke about let's do this one more time because it makes sense for a reviewer to say it, but not a character in the show fighting a random bad guy for probably not the last time. I was gonna do that joke. And then they brought her into. Why would you? 1 second. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is The Flash, Season 9, Episode 1, Wednesday Ever After. I know I shouldn't be here, but I have to finish this show. And the thing is, I was very tempted to just give this the What If Season 3 treatment that I gave, which is essentially lessening the amount of reviews I do and making them very quick for each episode. But here's the difference. For What If, there's no real connection there. I enjoyed the first season, but Season 2 wasn't that great. Season 3 was awful. So I felt a lot more comfortable just rushing through, talking about some of the worst parts and just moving on. The Flash used to be good. It used to be my favorite CW DC show. That is until Superman and Lois came along, and then I realized, wow, this is what we could have been getting. But really, the first few seasons I enjoyed. So I feel a lot more connected to this show to the point where now that it's gotten so bad, I feel like I need to give it just a beatdown every episode. I need to talk about why it's so bad. I can't just rush through and say, all right, well, this was bad, moving on. There are so many things about this first episode that are just so dumb. And not just because I'm critical, they are so obviously dumb. I can't imagine anybody enjoying this first episode. And from the first battle alone, first of all, CGI is atrocious. The big fire lava monster thing looked awful. I'm probably going to do this as the opening joke, but the whole opening line of, all right, let's do this one final time. I understand the joke because this is the final season, but it doesn't make sense when you think about the context of what he's doing. He's showing up to fight this guy. Let's do this one final time. It's never the final time. Everybody always comes back. You know this. It doesn't sound right in a normal battle conversation. But then on top of that, Frost shows up, so instantly it's a dream, clearly, and it takes so long to get to that point. Like, I understand what we're doing. Barry's scared about everybody dying. Like, I get that from the first moment whenever she dies. And then we have to go through everybody saying some, oh yeah, you can't protect us, Barry. We're going to die and you can't do anything about it, Barry. And then dying. We have to do that 3 times. And then Iris shows up and we have to do it again. So spend all of that time in a clear dream sequence just to show, hey guys, Barry's scared of people dying. Because again, they think the audience are stupid. The writers of the show think they need to hammer it in, so they can't just have one person talk about how Barry is going to let them die, so that way we're aware of what his mind is thinking. They have to do it multiple times, just to make sure it's really nailed on. And then the rest of the episode is all about Barry and Iris being stuck in this time loop. And let me tell you, this idea has been done so many times. You have to do something new with it to make it stand out. And you know what? To give them credit, they did one new thing with it. They did it about as lazy as you possibly could. I've not seen that done, I'll be honest. It's probably been done, but I've not seen this idea done as lazy as this before. You know, one of the fun things about time loop stories is all the different ways that we come to the end of the day. All the different things they try to get around ending the time loop. Barry keeps dying to this one battery. All the clever ways he could try to fix the issue with this battery, and then it keeps blowing up in his face. All the ways that Iris maybe is spending her day since she realizes, well, we're stuck. Not much I can do, so might as well just do something different. No, we don't get any of that. It's the exact same. That whole montage scene that generally is one of the most entertaining parts about a time loop. Literally, they just show Iris saying no to the Catco deal over and over and over again. They show Barry and Chuck getting blown up over and over and over again. Barry waking up screaming over and over and over again. And that's all they do. There's nothing different about any of these scenes. You have to realize how lazy that is, right? Just do anything different. But they didn't want to. It's too hard to think of new and clever ways to have the day end. Even just coming up with a funny joke before the battery blows up. The closest thing they had was Barry going to move it into the one room, and then his electricity sets it off, and he and Chuck give each other a slightly funny look. That's the closest they got to clever in that whole sequence of montage. Everything else, super boring. Just basically the same, repeated. That's not entertaining. On top of that, the whole point of this, the reason why they're stuck in this time loop, obviously it's because of this one device that set it up, but the narrative point of this is to get Barry to finally wise up and realize that knowing the future, having it all set in stone for them, is no way to live life. Duh. I don't know how else I can say it, but just duh. He is a very intelligent person. I get sometimes he gets a little overexcited, and sometimes he is a little naive. This is naivete on level with a toddler that can't look at it and go, hey, maybe knowing the whole future, maybe it's not a good thing. For two reasons. One, what Iris is going through, where essentially none of it's a surprise now. Everything that's happening in their lives is already ahead of them. Like, she already knows what it is. How is that fun? You never know what's going to happen on any given day. That's the way to live life. Sometimes it can be scary, but that's the way to live life. You find that out at least by your mid-20s. Barry's supposed to be in his 30s. I realize now he's like 3 years younger because of the stupid episode last season. He should realize this. But the other thing that he should realize, which is on a more logical point of view, so he should definitely be smart enough to put this together. If you know what your future is, you're going to approach everything with a different mindset than you would if you didn't know. The example I came up with while I was watching this episode is if I go out today and there's some guy who is very hurt, busted something on the way down, if I go and help him, don't know who this guy is, just help him, pick him up, take him to the hospital, something like that. Come to find out he's actually secretly a billionaire and he gives me $1 million for helping him. If I go back in time, repeat this day over again, I'm seeking out that guy. I'm probably approaching it with a different mindset. I'm probably approaching it with oh, he's going to give me money, so I can't wait to get that money. And he might see the fact that I'm basically begging for money and decide not to give me money because my mindset was different on it. So if Barry is approaching some of these battles going, oh, I know how this is going to end, there's a good chance that overconfidence might lead to what we saw in this episode where he thought it was just an easy win. He thought Captain Boomerang was no problem. And then it leads to the problem that we saw. So the fact that it took this whole thing and a speech from Joe and Cecile for him to wise up and realize why knowing the future is a bad thing is really, really dumb. Also, on top of that naivete, the one moment when he finds out Iris has been saying no to the Catco thing, he's like, well, that's why the date keeps repeating. It's because you're not following the book, clearly. He's never been this dumb before. So I think that's about all the stupidity from that side of the story. Captain Boomerang showing up is not fun. I still don't know why he's even a Flash villain. Let's be real, if he's working by himself, literally just a guy with boomerangs, how can the Flash not easily stop him? The fact that when they first started the first battle before the time loop, and he decided, I'm just going to run up the building to get my lightning charged. Instead of just walking over there, grabbing him, and taking him to Iron Heights in the blink of an eye, I feel like that would have worked a lot better. Just take his jacket off of him in the process so he doesn't have any of his boomerangs. But no, let's run up a building and run back down and then throw lightning at him because that's smart, especially with a mysterious device that you don't know anything about right there. But yeah, having him be involved, I hope he's not going to be a main villain. I'm assuming whatever the speedster is at the end is going to be the main villain. But I'm worried Boomerang's going to be heavily involved for this season. And I don't want him to be. On the main villain, I don't know, seems like another Reverse Flash type of villain, so not excited for that. We also see the season-and-a-half long Will They Won't They story between Allegra and Chuck finally come to its conclusion, because everybody was so excited to see that, right? What's really dumb about it, too, is after they kiss, there's like this awkward moment for them, so I could easily see them doing the thing where over the next few episodes there's this awkwardness where it's like, did that mean anything? Oh god, are we actually taking the next step? Oh no, what are we gonna do? Because everybody wants to see that, right? I swear if they actually do that, I might just have to break something on camera. I might have to break something on camera if they actually do that and keep this Will They Won't They story going with that awkward, oh, did it mean anything type of story. And then, of course, the big moment at the end whenever this new Caitlin, whatever she's supposed to be, shows up. I don't know. Who cares? The fact that she and Mark did this stupid thing to begin with is still pissing me off from last season. I realize Daniel Panabaker probably still has a contract through the end of this show, but why did they think this was a good idea? We had a whole episode talking about the death of Killer Frost, talking about accepting her death. We did a whole episode on it, and they really just had Caitlin go, no, screw that. I'm not accepting her death. Why? You're wasting everybody's damn time. I'm in for a lot of pain this season. I am. I know I'm doing this to myself. I know people will just ask, hey, why don't you just skip it? I feel like the show deserves to get the beat down that I'm going to give it. I don't even know if anybody's going to watch these, but it just makes me feel kind of good to tear the show a new one, to give it a review that it deserves, to show just how bad the writing is. Because when you take an idea like Groundhog Day, which, by the way, nobody knows what Groundhog Day is, right? Only Cecile, only old people know that classic story. But sure, she's the only one. Everybody look at her, weirdo, Groundhog Day. That doesn't sound like a real thing. When you take a classic idea like a time loop and you do nothing new with it, that just shows you are bereft of ideas. Because it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard to come up with a funny idea when you're stuck in a time loop. You've even got the two different sides of things where one character is trying so hard to get out of the time loop, and Iris is just kind of like, screw it, we're stuck here. So you could easily do both sides of that story with the two of them. Barry keeps dying trying to solve this battery problem. Iris keeps having fun in a bunch of different ways. She skips work. She gets drunk in the middle of the day. She goes and tells Cat Grant to her face to F off. Like, you could have so many fun ideas with Iris doing all this stuff that she's enjoying, and she keeps getting pissed because Barry keeps dying trying to solve the battery problem. But no, we just have Barry die a few times, have Iris say no a lot to the Cat Grant offer in different ways. That's not fun. That's not interesting. Probably an AI wrote this episode, if we're being perfectly honest. So with all that being said, we move on to episode 2. I'll see you guys there. So I don't know where in the review this is going to go, but as I was watching the second episode, I was reminded, because Hartley and Fiddler were pulling out some bullshit powers out of nowhere, I was reminded of something I forgot to talk about, where Barry saves the day by vibrating the device, which somehow vibrates the explosion through everybody. Now, I can suspend my disbelief to an extent. I can. It is possible. Because I'm watching a superhero show. So of course I need to suspend my disbelief. But it has to make sense within the world. Barry vibrating the device does not suddenly vibrate the explosion. That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, back to the review. And now episode 2, Hear No Evil. My God, this season's gonna be a pain. I can already tell. So much to talk about, so I'm just gonna get right into it. First of all, with Mark. He's an idiot. He's an unlikable asshole. The fact that he's even on the team, I hate it. Because he's not been likable since day one. There's nothing about him that's enjoyable. He's the good-looking douchebag that most girls think, oh, well, I can change him. And then he ends up betraying their trust, breaking their hearts. That's always what he's been. Even when he and Frost got together, he's still an unlikable douchebag. But they try to treat him like, oh, no, guys, he's a good guy now. He's a nice guy. No, he's not. And it's still shown here. He's not a good guy. Get him off the show, please. But his whole thing with trying to bring Frost back, it's stupid. Honestly, the whole thing surrounding this new Snow/Keon, all of it's so dumb. Again, we had an episode dedicated to mourning Frost, talking about accepting her death. And now here we are, next season. Screw all of that nonsense. No. Don't accept somebody's death. You should definitely try to bring people back from the dead. That's something you should do. And then whenever you can't bring them back from the dead, and you turn into somebody else, you should accept that person. What? I talked about it before, how there are some stories that are not relatable, but if you have an interesting enough concept and you have interesting enough characters, at the very least you can connect to it. I think the example I used was from Superman and Lois, how Lois was going through a story that isn't relatable because it's not something that we could ever deal with in our real life. But it was interesting enough, and the characters were interesting enough, where I was invested. I cared about the story, I empathized with them. Last season there was a story between Caitlin, Frost, and their mom that wasn't relatable because we can't experience something like this in real life, where the mom is trying to accept a daughter that she didn't really have because she was born of her real daughter, the different person inside of her. This is not relatable. That's not something that can happen in real life. But if the characters were more interesting, I could buy it because there is an interesting story there. This is none of that. This is Caitlin ignoring the lesson of accepting Frost's death, trying to bring her back. She gets into the CRC thing, turns into somebody else, which is apparently what she wanted. How does that work? Apparently, whenever her dad put her into the CRC at a young age, her becoming a person with a dual personality that lives inside of her that doesn't awaken unless she's under duress. Apparently, that's what she wanted as a kid. What? Way to change the backstory there. But apparently, this is what she wanted, to turn into somebody new. And so now we just have to accept that this is a new person. Which of course Mark isn't going to because he's a douchebag. But what the hell is this story? Now she's Keon. What? If this were a story where somebody lost their memory, and because of that they became a new person, or even just somebody from another universe that looks the same but is a different person, that would be one thing. This is something that makes no sense whatsoever. Caitlin gets into the CRC hoping to bring Frost back, and instead turns into something completely different. And now the story is just about, no, she needs to make her own decision. What the hell are we talking about? Is this a progressive story that they're trying to show us? Because I don't even know what the message is. It's just stupid. And we're wasting time on this. So all of that was so ridiculously dumb. And then we have the main superhero story, because I can't even really call it the main story because the main focus was the whole thing with this new character. But the main superhero story in this one is Hartley's getting attacked because they need his gauntlets or whatever for this new character, whoever they are. Apparently the Flash disgraced him. It looks like somebody cosplaying as Batman that has super speed. That's what it looks like to me. But that's the main superhero story, and it's Hartley gets attacked, shows up to save himself. The Fiddler goes back to the club because she gets threatened on her life to take the gauntlets. She goes back to the club. Hartley shows up. The Flash shows up. They stop her, but not really, because apparently the fiddle is not actually what has the power. It's her. It's just, I guess, allowing her to channel it somehow. Then they take her down. Hartley's about to kill her. Flash says, no, wait. Everybody's still alive. We just need your help to get him out. So he just presses a button on his gauntlet, and somehow that fixes everything. Because fiction. Things just press button. Ooh, fiction. Problem solved. Because he can just do that now. And then Captain Boomerang shows up, stuns both of them, takes the gauntlets, and then Hartley apparently didn't need the gauntlets to begin with because the power was in him all along, and he shouts a siren scream, because apparently he's a siren too now. Why not? Everybody's a siren. Fiddler was a siren, he's a siren, everybody can be sirens. You just have to have the power within you. We know for so long it was the gauntlets that was giving him the power, but no, the power was within him all along, guys. He doesn't need the gauntlets. But he just shows up and destroys the CRC without asking anybody. He just does it because Keon doesn't want to get inside of it. Cracks me up because who knows what that could be used for in the future. So just, blow it up. There's just so much about this that is so dumb. I don't care about any of these characters. I don't even care about who the new bad guy is. I don't care to know what he's all about. Because I'm sure they're writing it thinking, ooh, there's a lot of mystery. What does he mean that the Flash disgraced him? Ooh, exciting. Why is he a speedster? Who could it be behind the mask? Oh, we're so excited. If anybody's actually excited about this, if anybody's actually intrigued to learn more about this character, seek help. Find the nearest asylum, check yourself in, talk to some therapists, find out what's wrong mentally, because there is something wrong with you. And if you find that offensive, good. You're one of those people. Go check yourself in right now. The two other stories, we see Cecile and Joe dealing with their personal thing where Joe said they need to leave at the end of last episode, which I didn't even talk about because I'm just like, whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. What's funny is with this story, and also I'll talk about the Allegra and Chuck stuff in just a second, but with both of those stories, we come back at the beginning of this one and they show a flashback to the scene from the previous week. I look to see, I'm thinking, okay, how long has it been that they feel like the audience needs a flashback? Instead of just maybe putting it in the previously on, which I don't think they had a previously on. But really, how long has it been? Do they think the audience is that short-term memory that they can't remember something that happened a week ago? But no, it was only a week in between these two episodes, so flashback completely unnecessary. But as far as this is concerned, I mean, who cares? Really, it's the last season, so Joe and Cecile leaving the city makes sense, since apparently Barry and Iris are supposed to take over their house anyway. So it makes sense that they would leave. Who cares? It's the last season. It's not like we're getting another season after this, so Joe and Cecile leaving the show would be heartbreaking. Everybody's leaving the show, because the show is ending. Who gives a crap? But also, Allegra and Chuck, I'm not breaking anything yet, because at the end of this episode, they do dance together, which is a sign of a couple, so maybe we are finally just seeing them accept it. But no, at the beginning of this episode, we get exactly what I was worried about getting, where Chuck tries to talk to Allegra about it, and she's like, I think we need to focus on helping Snow right now, because, this isn't more important. And then Chuck's like, oh, okay. And then goes to the club. He's sitting all by himself, drinking by himself. Poor, pitiful me. I kissed a girl and she doesn't want to be with me. If this continues on into next episode, if next episode they are not a couple still, they're still acting like friends, there's still awkwardness between them, I will break something. This should not still be a damn story. Stop wasting my damn time on it. I think that's it though. Not excited about the fact that it seems like Hartley's sticking around since at the end he's posing with the team. Not a big fan of Hartley, to be perfectly honest. He's just never been a character that's been fun or entertaining, at least in recent memory. Also, Captain Boomerang's still around, so that's not fun either, because he shouldn't be a threat. He's just a dude with boomerangs that can teleport somehow, but whatever. At least it does feel like the main villain is finally taking center stage, so maybe we won't see much more of Boomerang. But yeah, I think that's it. If I forget anything and I'm reminded while I'm watching the next episode, I'll probably just do what I did before and try to find a way to shoehorn it into the previous episode review, because there is just so much to absolutely rip apart that sometimes it's hard to keep track of what I have and haven't talked about. And sometimes things will happen at the beginning of the episode, and then something even more stupid happens, and I forget about that stupid thing that happened at the beginning of the episode. So yeah, it's just a lot to deal with. But with all that being said, moving on to episode 3. I'll see you there in a sec. And now episode 3, Rogues of War. I tried to get away. I tried to escape. I didn't watch season 3 because I was like, I'm done. I don't want to think about Batwoman anymore. And Flash was like, no, you have to watch more Batwoman. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. How the hell did the writers actually think, no guys, we got it. We've got a brilliant idea on how to have the final season of The Flash. We are going to bring Batwoman in as a villain. Isn't that just amazing? I'm numb from this episode already because there's so much about it that was just so dumb, so ridiculously stupid. And then you throw that on top of the shit cake. Nice little shit cherry on top. You're gonna actually bring Batwoman into this and make her the villain for the season. Make her a speedster as well. I mean, yes, the suit looked like a bat. I already said that. I already said it looked like Batman Speedster. But you're really gonna make Ryan Wilder a character that was already worse than Kate Kane somehow, when Kate Kane was pretty low in the barrel. Ryan Wilder came in and was somehow below the barrel. Don't know how that happened. Don't know how she ended up under there, but she did. Of all these characters you had, she was the worst. The absolute worst. And now she's the villain for this season, which there's a joke to be made there. She's such an awful hero that they turned her into a villain. Ha ha ha, funny. But there's a reason I didn't watch season 3 of Batwoman, because season 2 was so bad, I had no desire to even rip apart season 3. And now here she is, making an already shit season of The Flash probably even worse, just by acknowledging her existence. Even before they took the mask off at the end, just when they were talking about Wayne Enterprises and Wayne Tech, it took me back. It took me back to watching the first 2 seasons and how stupid it was and how much idiocy I had to put up with. So just based on that, this is the perfect example of going out with a whimper, not even trying to go out on a high. This is truly a pathetic attempt. I don't even know why they thought this was a good idea, but whoever came up with this idea, I hope they never get work again. I don't know if it was a writing team, I don't know if it was a producer, I don't know who came up with the idea to put Batwoman in the show, but whoever it is, I hope they never get work in the industry ever again. I hope this is so bad that they lose their career. They have to go start working at McDonald's or something. That's the only way they can make money anymore. I wish that upon them. But let's talk about some of the stupidity leading up to that ridiculously stupid ending. First of all, play the clip. I swear if they actually do that, I might just have to break something on camera. I might have to break something on camera if they actually do that and keep this will they won't they story going. I can't afford to break anything valuable right now. Yeah, so we're apparently just going with this whole Allegra doesn't want to be with anybody right now, even though she hasn't been with anybody in a while. But sure, yeah, she's just not wanting anything right now, so we have to put up with this stupid bullshit even longer. Great, love that. On top of that, I will say Keon, kind of an annoying character. It's like in the writing room, they were all just sitting there, what type of character is she? And then one person is sitting there opening up fortune cookies and just like, oh, well, my fortune today is this. And some idiot saw that and was like, oh, we should make her like a fortune cookie. She just has wise words anytime anybody's going through anything. Oh, yeah, that's a great character. Definitely doesn't sound conceited and egotistical and self-righteous as hell. So putting up with her in the last episode was already kind of annoying, but it wasn't to the point of me mentioning it. Now I'm going to mention it, that basically every speech she has sounds like she's just Confucius giving words of wisdom, and that's her whole character. She's got nothing else outside of that. 2 episodes with her, already annoying. But yeah, let's get to the main story of this episode, which is Barry trying to get this group of rogues to break in, steal the thing before the other group of rogues can, and it's funny because I'm looking at the situation that they're describing as far as how to get this generator, and I'm thinking, this is perfectly set up where only the 5 of you can go in and steal it. It almost feels like the bad guy is kind of expecting that. If you guys didn't steal it, how would they break in? I don't think they'd be capable of doing it. Actually, I take that back. It was kind of stupidly simple. There was no alarms or anything. They just all 5 went in with ID badges, shut down the generator, and that's how Barry managed to grab it. But it still just felt like, yeah, the bad guy's probably expecting you to do this, and then he's going to take it. Or she, I guess. We find out later. Just from the setup that they described, where it takes the 4 of them shutting down the generator and Barry vibrating his hand through to grab it. But let's talk about the betrayal from Mark, because once again, he's shown to be total douchebag. Love the fact that he's still on the show. Love that shit. It's amazing. I will say the whole team turning against Barry, the backstabbing Caesar moment as Goldface described it, which also loving having him back on the show right now, because he's definitely not just a walking stereotype of that bad guy that is super tough and mean, but also very sophisticated and has a softer side to him. I got sick of that shtick, I think the 3rd time that I saw him, and this is time number 7. But yeah, the whole team turning on Barry makes no sense. Because for Jocko, there's no reason why he would turn on Barry. There's no reason why Barry wouldn't trust him to begin with. He's not a villainous dude. He was a guy that got stuck in a tough situation. But there's no reason why he would look at him like he's a criminal. Mark and Hartley have no reason not to trust Barry because they both know who he is. In fact, it makes more sense that Mark would not be leading this charge of, hey, you don't trust us, why would we trust you, whenever he's already said he doesn't want to work with Hartley. Now granted, we know why he's okay with all of this. We know why he's okay with working with this team, because obviously he needs everybody to go in there so they can get the generator to begin with. Although, what was his plan if Barry didn't get the generator? Was Ryan just going to go in and steal it with her super speed? Like, what was the thought process there, Mark, with leaving Barry behind? But whatever. But yeah, that scene makes no sense, because Hartley and Mark know Barry is the Flash. Jocko apparently already knew Barry was the Flash. So Goldface is the only one that didn't. I don't know why the team turned on him, out of just nowhere. Just to give Barry a reason to tell them that he's the Flash? Why does he even wear a mask anymore? Everybody freaking knows. The whole point of a secret identity is to keep your loved ones safe, so that way the villains don't know who you are. Everybody and their mother in the city knows. Almost every major villain that the show has had has found out Barry is the Flash and has gone after his loved ones. So what's the point of even having a secret identity if they're just going to find out anyway? If most everybody is going to find out, if he's just going to tell everybody at the drop of a hat. What's the point of a secret identity? It's so stupid. Yeah, Mark turning on the team, it's a ridiculous regression of his character. It makes me hate him more than I already did, which I hated him a lot. I hope Ryan just kills him because he realizes he doesn't want to be a part of the team, and so she just takes him out as he's trying to help Team Flash or something. I don't know. I just want him gone. Also, everybody facing each other. Captain Boomerang, Goldface. You had the Fiddler up against Jocko. You had Hartley up against Rom. I don't even remember this character at all. The fact that he apparently knows how to speak sign language, Hartley, is kind of stupid. And that whole conversation goes on for like a good minute and a half. Yeah, also the Fiddler and Jocko kind of hitting a spark. Oh, 9 Inch Nails is my favorite. Really? What are we doing? This feels like it was written by a toddler. That's giving it too much credit. A toddler would write better shit than this. I think that's about it. Iris is also going through some self-conscious thing where she's worried about not being able to do enough, even though she's about to start this empire with Catco. Apparently that's not enough. She wants to write her big story before the baby gets here. What are you talking about? My God, did you guys just really feel like we needed to fill the runtime? So you're just like, well, we need Iris to go through a bit of a crisis of confidence, guys. So, yeah, she's worried about not being able to do enough before the baby gets here. We know she just made a deal with Catco. We know she's about to probably build her empire of a news corporation and all of that stuff. And she's probably going to write a story here soon, even though the baby's not even on the way yet. So let's just make it to where she's worried about not doing it quick enough. Even though 2 episodes ago she was worried about her future being planned, now she's worried that the planned future that happens isn't going to happen. Which is it, Iris? Because 2 episodes ago you hated the fact that the whole future was just planned and you guys knew everything that was going to happen. And now the first moment, whenever you're not sure if the future is going to work out, that scary thought of what if we don't know the future, as soon as that happens, suddenly it's a big deal. You can't have it both ways. You either get to know the future and lose all the surprise, or you don't get to know the future. Then you have to deal with the fact that things might not work out like you want them to. Oh no, I don't get it. I don't understand what happened with the writing team. I want to believe, as bad as this is, I want to believe that AI wrote this. I want to believe that a group of people didn't get together, write this shit, and go, yeah, that's good. That's a well-written story, guys. Good job. Pat ourselves on the back for that one. We did a good job here. I want to believe that human beings did not write this, because if they did, I weep for those people to actually write this story and think this, first of all, makes sense. Second of all, is good writing. And third of all, that anybody could possibly enjoy this. And I also weep for the people that are enjoying this, because clearly you need to turn your brain on. Because if you shut your brain off to the point where you can enjoy this, I'm not sure you're all completely there, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And again, I know if anybody is enjoying this and for some reason they watch this review and they get pissed off, I know the response is going to be, well, just don't watch it if you don't like it. But here's the problem. Again, this show used to be good. This show used to have good writing. The show treated its characters with respect, treated its audience with respect. Now we've reached a point where there's no respect for anybody. No respect for the audience. They expect the audience is too stupid to remember stuff that happened a week ago. They'll write stories that completely contradict stuff that happened in a previous episode that wasn't that long ago. They'll show flashbacks to scenes. They did in this one as well. Oh, he took that battery. Flashback to the battery. Oh, right, I remember that scene. They also took Hartley's gauntlets. Flashback to that. Oh, yeah, I remember that from the last episode. Oh my gosh, it's all coming together. Like, there's no respect for the audience at all. And again, I know there's not going to be many people that watch this, but really, it's just catharsis for me at this point. I need to tear the show apart. I need to do this. I'm sure other people have done it too. But this is something that I really enjoyed, and I don't know who's responsible for it. I don't know whether the writing team's changed over the years. Maybe it's just different people in charge throughout the years. So maybe it's not one person's fault. Maybe it's not a group of people's fault. Maybe it's just an amalgamation of all these different people coming through the door, changing things up because, oh, well, we need to do this now with it. But whatever the case, they took a show that I really enjoyed, that I had a good time with at the start of it all, and it's been just in a constant downward trend since about season 5. Season 5, which I'm pretty sure was Nora's season where she first showed up. Season 5 had some good moments, had some good stories, but on the whole of it, it was a little disappointing. And then from there, season 6 was pretty bad. Not the worst, but still pretty bad. Season 7 was even more frustrating, more annoying to deal with. Season 8 was awful. And now season 9 just feels like they're not even trying to bring in a character like Batwoman from a show that was so hated, so universally hated. You're going to bring in that character into the show and think that that's going to help you? Think that that's going to make an interesting story? I don't know who made that decision. I'm assuming some of the writers or some of the people from Batwoman came in and said, hey guys, they canceled us unfairly. We didn't get to finish our story, so you have to finish Ryan's story in your show now. We have to see what happens with her, guys, because so many people want to see what happened with Batwoman. They want to see an end to her story, so you guys need to write her in to your show, okay? Do that. It just blows my mind that they are actually that self-absorbed, that egotistical, that they think people do want to see an end to this character, do want to see what happens with her after season 3. Since I'm assuming it was canceled before they could finish that story. And anybody that actually thinks that, actually wants to see an end to her story, again, seek help. But any of the writers or producers or whoever was in charge of making this decision, whoever thought that that was a good idea, again, I wish the worst upon them, career-wise. This is going to be a long review, and I apologize for that. I'm going to do my best to try to cut down on the ranting about it, because I probably just need to accept the fact that she's actually in the show, the fact that they put Batwoman in the show should tell me this is not The Flash anymore. It's become Batwoman season 4, because they wanted to wrap up her story. So I should probably not give it that much time and energy put into it. It's unfortunately just that nostalgia that I feel, the love that I used to have for this show, that is making me want to rant about it, is making me want to really go all in and absolutely tear the show apart. So I'll do my best to cut down on it in the future, but with all that being said, those are my thoughts on these first 3 episodes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Flash reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.